Hi Homeworthy, I'm Meta. Welcome to my home in Utah.
You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story.
My name is Meta Coleman. I am an interior designer living in Provo, Utah. Welcome to my home. So this home, my husband and I actually built when we were very young, probably too young to know. We experienced a lot of, the joys of building a home, and in your late 20s, we built the home, but we really didn't have the budget for an architect. So we really kept it very simple in the layout and took a lot of inspiration from homes I'd seen in the East Coast, my grandparents' home in Germany. My grandfather was an architect, so he was a big influence on my work. And we really didn't have a lot in the space for a long time, and we gathered and did a lot of work on it over time, because we were house poor in the beginning. How I became a designer, I actually trained, funnily enough, as a photographer, but I took a lot of basic courses in color theory, in story. I loved the storytelling aspect of photography, and I think that's really what I am at the heart with the interior work I do. It's all about storytelling. I want to tell the home story, what does the home want to be, and also, really importantly, what does the homeowners want the home to be? What do the homeowners really feel? What resonates with them? What are memories and colors that resonate with them, and how do we bring that in a cohesive flow? This is my living room. So this fireplace is tiles that we've collected in our travels, mostly from the Netherlands and from Portugal. So we found this amazing shop that had these border tiles, and then we kind of had to make a corner tile. I had a ceramic artist help me with that, but then everything else is just very random, very broken, very much like Frankenstein tiles, which I love. And it's all really sentimental to us because it was in our travels when we would go to like a antique store or maybe a flea market, and we would find tiles that we really liked, and some of them are a little bit, they're much less than perfect, and you can find them for a lot less price-wise. So we were able to find them and schlep them home, which was very heavy. The sofa is a Josef Frank sofa. So I bought this sofa many years ago, maybe 15 years ago now, I think, and I had to reupholster the bottom, but luckily they still make this fabric. So a Svensk 10 makes it. It's a Josef Frank design. And then last year we ended up at auction finding a matching one. So it's very, very much in keeping with his philosophy, like things just kind of accidentally happen. And that's kind of what makes it really beautiful. So we felt like we were paying homage to Josef Frank by accidentally finding a very nicely matching sofa. This one's much more new. This one's been weathered over the years, which I love. I think the best way to mix bold patterns is to find colors in the pattern or the design that you have, and use those in other parts of the space. So, for example, that chair has cobalt blue in it. This sofa has a lot of cobalt blue in it. And then we're mixing, yellows and greens, but they're softer, more muted tones, so that this can really be the star of the show. One of my favorite pieces that I inherited from my grandmother is this chair. It's from the 30s. It's a very comfortable chair. Her favorite color was green, but I reupholstered it in a blue. I hope she doesn't mind. She's passed away for many years now, but I love this chair. I have a lot of memories with her sitting, watching the nightly news in this chair. So I don't have a lot of memories of grandparents, but this chair really is a very sentimental piece. The clock, I don't know if it's a Mora clock. I don't know if it was built in Mora, but this is a Swedish antique clock that my husband surprised me with. I used it for a photo shoot many years ago, and then he surprised me with it, which was really, really special, really sweet. One thing too is that a product that I just recently launched that I love because it's so great to like house objets, is this Dora Maar shelf that I designed and recently launched. And I love it because you can just add a little sculptural piece on it or a vase. And it's just for nice little, like adding a little three-dimensional texture or layering in your home. A lot of pieces here are sentimental. I designed this piano bench, which opens up and you can have storage in here. My favorite, I love this ceramic artist, Bjorn Windblad. So my husband has, over the years, given me little special pieces of his. I saw this painting and I just loved it. Like she's wearing my favorite color, one of my favorite colors, red. This is a portrait of my son that my husband made for me a number of years ago. My husband's an artist and he periodically will paint portraits of the family. It doesn't always happen, so when you have one, you take it. My husband and I we've collected art for a number of years. This is our salon wall. We've been collecting milagros or votivos for a number of years. Wherever we travel to, we always pick up one. I just think it's kind of a beautiful symbol of a prayer in physical form. My daughter painted this for me. These are some artists that my husband loves. Mos Stupendal. He did a copy of a sergeant. One of our friends, Jeremy Lipking, did this portrait of Henrik. And then there's quite a few. This is my husband's father, Meta Coleman. And then we've just got, other pieces. But we do have a painting problem. We have a lot of paintings. Yeah, 19th century art is predominantly what my husband collects. I like a wider range, but that's his area of expertise and the work that inspires him the most. So it's really important to keep that, to surround yourself by that. I have a Japanese printed linen here, and then I like to kind of mix softer infused lighting. This piece I found many years ago, and I love just infusing kind of more mid-century or modern pieces with antiques like the Biedermeier to kind of, they're still the same tone or the color is very similar, but you have different shapes and different lines. This is like a printout of an Albrecht Dürer bunny. It was his famous iconic rabbit that he did an etching of. I love Alpine style. So these are like Tyrolean inspired or also Bavarian. They're very similar in the style. So I love that. I love that kind of like more rustic look mixed in with a little more elevated. Some of these are sculptures that my husband has collected, and this is a piece by my friend Katarina Harold. She does beautiful work, and this is another kind of similar thing to what I designed with the Dora Maar shelf, where you can display objects and different objets, if you will, and different pieces of sculptures to really add dimensionality to your interiors. So this is a Biedermeier table and chairs that my mom gifted me. She was worried that it would get not enough love. She was ready to find a new home. And I did upholster it when I first got it. I asked for her permission. It had more of a French stripe on it, and I did it in a floral Josef Frank, a little more colorful. Kind of love the color mixed with this honey color. This is our kitchen. I used a historic Portuguese corner motif. And at first I was going to do just like a section. And then I thought, why not do all of the walls? So every single wall is tiled, kind of like what you see in historic homes in the Netherlands and Portugal. You see, they would do it so that, because they would have big fires, like a big range with fire, so they would protect it. And I love that like historic reference. And I feel like it adds a little pattern to it, but it's not, I don't think it's too overpowering, but it just kind of has like a nice feel. It kind of just encompasses the entire space. The cabinets are designed by myself, as well as the fridge unit, and I used inspiration from Gustavian furniture and Biedermeier furniture with the diamond pattern, and then we did the ribbed, like you see in Gustavian, like antique furniture. I used alder that we ended up putting a lye wash treatment on, and then we did kind of like a natural wax treatment over it. So it's very natural, and it will over time kind of weathers and warms over time, which I love. Bistro chairs are made by a company in France they're called Maison Drucker, and they've been doing it for 100 years, maybe over 100 years. They've been doing the rattan bistro chairs, and I love those. They're very comfortable. We wanted something comfortable but also easy to clean, which with this kind of pattern, it's so easy to clean. That plate is actually one that we found in my in-laws' basement, and so we just decided to hang it there. This is an artist friend of mine in Sweden. Her name's Siri Karlin. Her work is really beautiful. She does pastel work, really incredible. I have a really large piece in my office, and I love her work. She's really talented. We bought this broken plate, the lion plate, in Portugal when we bought some of the tiles for the fireplace. This utensilio is used all the time. I use it in a lot of client spaces because it's just a great catch-all for everything that you need in a kitchen, maybe too much stuff. So this table we bought at auction. It's a Swedish table from the 1800s. I found these as well that are Tyrolean alpine chairs, which I love them together. They push back really far, so you have a bigger space here, walkway. This piece right here is actually, it houses all of our cooking appliances and all of that, and I designed this. I wanted it to look classic, inspired by Baroque or Biedermeier furniture, but then also have a modern feel. And I also wanted to pay homage to the reeded panels that I have there. So I did the entire panel in this reeded painted wood, custom color blue that I mixed. And then I did these door handles. I made these out of resin. And I wanted to just kind of be fun and playful with the handles. This is a Josef Frank, surprise, surprise, a Josef Frank Roman shade that I did, and it's it's like tea, coffee, the plants of tea, coffee, and all the things that are very much you drink, drinking, hot chocolate, and so it felt very perfect for a kitchen. And then this is a combination of how at 36 Bourne Street and William Morris and some stripes and some Beata. So it's just very much a medley or mix of a lot of different fabrics that I like. And the lights are all vintage. I use a lot of vintage lighting in my designs. I like that it can just be so special and unique, and also doesn't feel like it's all coming from one store. These are French, and then a mid-century light. So it's all different eras, and I think it just kind of, you get a soft diffuse light, but also you have different eras mixed together, so it doesn't feel overly, like it came from a catalog or anything like that. So that's always a hard one to describe my design style, because I feel like it's really a combination of so many things, so much time, a lot of years of cultivating research and development of a lot of historical homes. I love history, but I also want it not to feel stifling and contrived, so I like to make it fresh and fun and unexpected and a little bit weird sometimes. So I think that my style is a combination, I don't like to use the word eclectic because I feel like it gets overused, but maybe it's more of a combination of different styles and eras. We do use color and patterns, and we layer a lot of those. I think oftentimes when you do one pattern, your eye just wants to go to that one pattern, but if you mix patterns in a really, sometimes they are not always, combining perfectly, but that's kind of the charm about it. So when you mix those patterns, it makes you feel more settled in a space than actually if you were to have one pattern that draws your eye just to that pattern. So I really like to think about it as layering. We're layering lights, we're layering colors, we're layering patterns, we're layering textures. All of those things are just getting layered to give it that feeling that it's been around. It's been there for a long time. So this is my home office. I work in here a lot. I like to lay out any particular project I'm working on. I like to lay out all the materials so I get a really visual feel for everything. If I need a bigger surface, I'll lay it out on the floor. And then if I'm having something rewired or working on that, then I do collect it. But I like to see everything with, all the materials with the fabrics and patterns, and just get like a feel of how everything is flowing together. I have a lot of books. Most of my samples are in my studio, so that's not here. And I store a lot more lighting and different things like that, fabrics, and we have a lot of things shipped to us. And I would like, eventually this is all going to be mostly books. We're just transitioning everything into the studio. This is a piece that I really love. It's from 1799, a Spanish table with the swan profiles. I love that. The color of the room is a blue that I custom mixed, and I wanted it to be in the morning. It's pretty dark in here, and so I wanted it to be vibrant enough that it felt energizing in the morning, but I also didn't want it to be overpowering when the sun comes through. So it's a really nice, it's actually pretty calming blue, even though it's pretty energizing as well. And blue is a color that sparks creativity, and it's also one of my favorite colors. So of course I want to have a space that is where I need to be creative. I want it to have a color that will help me be more creative. Sofa, I wanted to make sure I had a really comfortable sofa in here. So just in case by the afternoon, if I need to like sit down or just take a little break, I can have somewhere really comfortable to sit and either continue working or just take a little break from work so I can be the best that I can be. I love still lifes. I think that as a painting, I just think that there's something really, it tells a story as well. I found this piece when I was in Provence with friends on a trip, as well as this piece. This one's a British designer named Gavin Houghton. This was an antique still life that I found that I really loved at auction. And then I found this at David Nelligan's Antiques, which I love his work, and it's kind of more, a little more modern. And I just love that they're all still lifes in a way. And yeah, I'm really drawn to them, and I just want to like sit by this table and have some tea. I wanted to create a little more privacy and also like visually, and for sound, I have sound sensitivity. So I put this beautiful fabric from Beata up, and these are also tiles from travels. A few of our kitchen tiles interspersed with tile. You can tell I have a tile problem. So my husband, the last time we were in the Netherlands, which I love going there, he was saying to me, "Do we really need more tiles?" And I said to him, we always need more tiles. There's always a room for more tiles. So I really like tiles. And so I love this one. I love that it got really blurry in the kiln, and it's a lion. I think this one's great. I think they're all just so fun. Like this one's also really, really blurry. And I love the imperfections of it. I think, life's not perfect. We're not perfect. I love to see things in your home not perfect. I mean, the execution and the details should be done well and should be perfect, but the elements that really tell a story and make a home, I don't think have to necessarily be perfect. I think it's more interesting if they're not. And this is a Marta Mos Fjötestrom tapestry. I love her work, very inspiring to me. So, it's really a lot of things that inspire me, as well as, things that you have to have in an office to function. So this is our landing, our upstairs landing. We, if you noticed, we like birds. My husband is a huge bird lover. He loves birds and sees them everywhere. We did the floor in cork flooring so we could just have a nice soft texture. I did two tones. I designed this bench as a landing bench. We have a lot of art that we've collected over the years, pieces made by my friend Mary Lee, posters when we went to art exhibitions, Audubon. I mean, so many variations, you know, of art that we like to be surrounded by. My husband was actually doing these portraits, and it just took him so long because, you know, when you know someone really well, you feel you're more critical of how you're painting the person. And so he was very much feeling worried about that. So I ended up having my friend Marilee Lydiard, who's a really amazing, talented illustrator. She did the portraits of every single one of us in front of the doors, very much inspired by Carl Larsen and Karen Larsen and their home, and he would illustrate his wife and his children in different elements of the home. And I love that personality, the personal aspect of that. What it's like to decorate my own home is, in some ways it's liberating, but in the other aspect it's also more expectations are put on me because I feel like there's so many endless possibilities and I like so many things. But I do know I get to the heart of it. You know, there are things that are very comfortable to me and feel very much at home to me. So those are the things I choose. I choose like more honey-toned woods, like Biedermeier. I grew up around that, so that's very comfortable to me. Blue and white is also something I grew up around. It's no, you know, secret. I'm a huge Josef Frank fan. He's an Austrian designer. There's a lot of crossover between, you know, that era of the Wiener Werkstätte, his designs and the work that they did, which I really love. The home has a bit of a lived-in charm, and something that I really like to incorporate in all the homes that I work on. It's kind of like, it's important to feel like things have been gathered over time, and a lot of times they are, and sometimes they're not. But it's just mixing different eras, different styles, patterns, colors, in a way that doesn't feel too contrived and too stuffy, just a little more relaxed. I don't mind, you know, messes. I actually like things to not feel overly perfect. I like a little mess, but it can get a little bit too messy with, you know, all the creative people in our home, myself included, and, you know, teenagers. But that's part of life and living, you know, so. So this is our bedroom, and I designed this bed. I wanted to have everything soft, but in the middle of the night, whenever you're stumbling out of bed, I feel like you inevitably always hurt yourself, and so I wanted everything to be really soft. So rounded corners. My son sculpted these feet, the claw feet, the bird claw feet, of course, birds. And then we made them out of resin, and the same thing with the heads. The finials are bird heads. So this is our bird bed, our bird room, because my husband, and I do too, we love birds. We actually are housing a few families of hummingbirds right now, and I'm very thrilled about that. It's kind of amazing to watch the little babies. But yeah, so we have a wide range of different artists. Nick's father, Nick has done some paintings. Most Stupendal, I'm probably saying it wrong, a piece that we found in our travels. You know, so just a lot of things. This watercolor is of two little girls in Münster, which is from my mom. And my mom and I used to go to Münster a lot, which is like a really nice village in Germany. Another piece from my mom as well. So there's a lot of different curated over time pieces that we found, and then also some gifts from family members, which is really sentimental to us. And so yeah, the bed is made by the fabric is Howe at 36 Bourne Street, and then sofa, yet again, another Josef Frank. This is the first purchase I ever made of Josef Frank fabric, and my opinion, my husband loves Josef Frank as much as I do as well, and so to him, there's never too much Josef Frank. This is crazy. I did this a long time ago, maybe 10 years ago, but it's lime wash that I decided to paint in stripes. And it was insane. But I actually I'd never watched Friends, and I watched I think the whole season of Friends or something like that while I was painting it. Sometimes you have to do something physical, creative to really just, I don't know, it's like a nice mental change. And that's what I did. And it was insane. And it took me a lot of time. But I really love it. I like how it kind of has like a wainscoting in the lime wash paint. But it's all paint. And it was pretty insane. So my husband and his father are both artists, and you run into the problem, like, what do we do with the brushes? And so his father actually did this, and I totally stole the idea from him and took the paintbrushes. But he started just keeping them all in jars, and I thought it was just such a fun way to like display and show a physical history of all the brushes that they've used. I don't even think this is all of them. It's just kind of a fun way to document and display all the hundreds of thousands of hours of paint and work that they've done. So I really liked that, and I basically took them from my father-in-law and put them in our house. I really like using wardrobes in spaces. I feel like it adds a unique history to it. I think that sometimes closets can be so boring. I love a good wardrobe. This piece I actually purchased from my cousin who lived in France for a number of years, and she went about an hour and a half away and bought it from an old couple that had had it in their family for 150 years. So it feels very special, and I hope I'm doing it, I'm respecting it in the way that it should be, but it houses all of our linens and our towels. So it's really a great way to utilize storage. A lot of people don't like to use wardrobes. I think they're just a very valuable piece that you can add a little more story, a little more interest into your interiors. This is our primary bathroom, and the vanity was custom designed by myself, and I wanted it to feel like an antique piece of furniture. It was very much inspired by Biedermeier furniture, that early 1800s furniture that I love so much. The tiles were also custom colored for me, this custom blue, with one of my manufacturers that I love working with in Mexico. They built the tiles for us, the architectural moldings, and just the field tiles. The wallpaper is from Common Room. It's a 1929 design, and it has mermaids and fish, which is so fitting for a bathroom, I think. Yet again, we have more art, a water scene, which is also very fitting, and then I have a lot of nudes. This is an antique rug that I bought at auction. It's a little tattered, and I like that. I think that's fine. This piece is a stool I designed, actually, very much inspired by Wiener Werkstätte. I wanted a stool that wasn't taking up too much space, but you could drape your towel and your, whatever you want over it. This is from Atelier Vim. They do really beautiful rattan, and it kind of revived the whole rattan industry. And this tile is very much inspired by my grandparents' bathroom. The little mosaics with all the different blues. To me, I love blue in a bathroom. It's very calming. So it's just a combination of different types of tiles in variations of blues and whites, and then natural wood, which is very calming and relaxing to me. It's kind of my favorite room to be in. I want people to feel, when they come into my home, I want them to feel relaxed. I want them to kind of feel like it's a cozy space, that they can be comfortable and pull up a chair and play games, or feel like it's a cozy space that they can be in, that if they want to read or do any number of activities, that it feels like a space that is working for them and not the other way around. I talk a lot about that, like you want your space to work for you and not you to work for your space. So you want to have things that are easily accessible, with all the intention of what are the purpose of the space. So let's make sure we provide all of those things in that space in order to achieve all of those goals and enjoy the space the way that it's meant to be enjoyed. I think what gives our home soul is that when we are together as a family, or we have people over, that it's a space that we want to spend time in, we want to play games in. We want to be eating in the space. We want to, reading. Just like one of my favorite things is on Sundays, if I have time to just be able to sit on the sofa or lay on the sofa actually and read a good book or catch up on some of the magazines that I have all these subscriptions to, and I never find the time to read always. But it's just a nice place that you feel like you can just, it's a sanctuary to go to and have a little bit of a respite from everything else, all the craziness that's going on in the world and everywhere. So it feels like it can be, it can bring a lot of peace. This is my son Henrik's room, and it's very much a reflection of who he is. I designed this space for him. I took over his closet, and I did put in this family piece. It's called a Frankfurter Schrank. It's a German 1800s piece that comes apart in 5 or 6 pieces. It's really pretty amazing. It's deep. We added more drawers inside, and he can fit all of his clothes in. It's about the same size as his closet was. We have like one of these beautiful beds that are, I slept on a bed like this, they're usually English or Danish pine and oak beds. I bought this from one of my clients actually. It's Knossen Antiques. I think they have really beautiful beds like this. We added some mid-century like desk area for him, and then all his interests. He loves to be outside in the outdoors. We did this Matterhorn mural a long time ago from Sandberg Wallpaper, or actually it's the sister company of Sandberg, so it's Rebel Walls. And then we wanted to clad everything in wood, but it was just too expensive, so we did this Adam Bray wallpaper, this yellow and brown, which I think is a really fun way to kind of give it a little mod feel to it, which he loves. Rolling Stones, the Beatles, he loves like that kind of retro mod rock and roll music, and so it's kind of a perfect nod, as well as the rug, which is a Nordic knots rug designed by Campbell and Ray, and it's just like so perfect for that 60s, 70s vibe mixed in with kind of the alpine feeling. And it is kind of like a cave too, because it's pretty dark here in the summertime with all the trees and the foliage that we have. So this is my daughter Maya's room. This is a room that she very much worked on the concept and the design for the murals. This is something these are all freehand drawings that she did when she was 8, and then we've helped her fill it in and paint it in. So it's very much all in her mind. It's like very kawaii, Japanese inspired. I designed the piece of furniture to house all of her clothing. We have another wardrobe that houses all of her hanging pieces, and it's like kind of an Art Nouveau inspired pine piece. I think it is from that era. And I, yet again, love wardrobes because it adds some dimension to a space and some interest. Her bed was designed by me, inspired by Carl Larsson's bed in his room. It's kind of in the center of the room, and it's very much like we have lighting coming in through the posts, and these lines are very much inspired by Carl Larsson. And then the nice thing is she's got this canopy that she can just completely close it in and have it be like her own room inside a room. This is a portrait that my friend Marilee Lydiard did of my daughter Maya. Same idea that the portraits are of my husband and myself, and I think it's like captures her moment in time really beautifully, her teenage years. I think my favorite thing about my home is I think the spaces are not overly big, but they're also not too small. I feel like they really can facilitate everything that we need in our space as a family. Kitchen, I love that we have a dining area also incorporated into, like a dining nook incorporated into the kitchen, and so I really love that. We spend a lot of time in our kitchen, we cook a lot. The main thing is really, I feel like the spaces aren't too small, not too big. They feel just right, and they accommodate all the things that we need. This is my kids' bathroom. I wanted to do like a classic checkerboard pattern on the floor. They're cement tiles. They are a little sensitive, I have to say. They're more porous than I had wanted. The tiles for the walls, all the field tiles and the border tiles, are from my Mexican manufacturer, and he did a custom amoeba tile pattern that I saw somewhere in Italy, and I had him replicate it with the colors that I wanted. And I think it's just really fun and playful. I found this fabric in Greece at just some random fabric store, and I loved all that eyelet fabric, and so I had a privacy shade made out of it. And as you can see, my daughter has a lot of product. And the frog I found at a thrift store for like $5. This piece I bought at Facebook Marketplace pretty inexpensively too. This is a 1773 Swedish cupboard. I love using like hanging cupboards as well for, you know, bathrooms and stuff. Anything that you can do that takes the utility and still makes it feel that you still give it utility, but it makes it feel less utilitarian and a little more warm and welcoming, are pieces I always like to incorporate into spaces like bathrooms and kitchens, because they can feel very cold. So this is something that really helps warm up a space, and it's fun to look at. You know, it's nice to look at the floral patterns, and it was made before our country was a country. So that's kind of amazing. Skirt is, I think it's Penny Morrison, I can't remember, but I wanted to add some like warmth to it. The inspiration for this little detail and the feet were from a furniture piece that I had from my grandparents, and so I really liked these little design elements. I added the feet, and they're in stainless steel, or nickel, I think it's nickel. The frame, I wanted it to kind of have a 60s feel, so I wanted this bathroom to feel like it had been renovated in the 60s, but it had also had some past history to it. So the lights are IKEA, but I loved how they were just kind of very mod feeling, and same thing with this acrylic mirror. I wanted it to kind of be rounded, softer, nothing too, you know, just kind of mod mixed in with like some old world charm. So this is our laundry room. It used to be, if you can believe it, smaller, and I actually took part of my son's closet away and I made it longer and narrower. This was one of those things that we made a mistake when we were young, and we made too small of a laundry room. I didn't think I needed a big laundry room, and I don't really like doing laundry, to be honest. But I wanted it to be fun. I wanted it to have a 30s nod. So the wallpaper is actually a collaboration I did with Sandberg Wallpaper in Sweden. And this was part of their Carl Larsson collection. They did a really beautiful wallpaper collection inspired by Carl Larsson. And I helped them with like some of the colors and you know, a few little design elements. But this was a pattern they designed, and I really liked it, and I wanted to incorporate it into our laundry room. So I put it in the ceiling and above the wainscoting, because it just didn't make sense to have it here where you're, you know, getting things wet. The tile is all, yet again, you know, collected over over our travels. It looks like we definitely have a tile collection going on. These pieces I wanted to kind of, it was inspired by the Sleeper McCann house museum that I saw. I loved the way that they mixed it was kind of like a mushroom gray with yellow and red. So I wanted to incorporate that. And then we did a stainless steel counter and a big sink so we can wash our dog. And then curtains as well for all of our extra towels and stuff like that. And then a little rolling cart for all the dirty laundry and all of that. So. And now I'm going to show you my husband's studio where he works and paints, which is nice because we have a little breezeway that connects our home to his studio, and so there's a little separation. So this is my husband's studio where he paints. He's an artist, and he paints mainly oil paintings of Western wildlife, and He designed this studio space, and he works in this space, and he collects pieces, and this is where a lot of his art is, you know, housed before he ships it off, and there he is, working. What does the word home mean to me? I think it means a place that you can feel like your best self, and you can feel like who you really are as a family, as an individual. It has all the things that you need at your disposal, the colors that really resonate and feel right to you, the feelings that you want to feel. You know, I say a lot of things, like we call it in German gemütlich, and it's like coziness. There's a coziness to it, kind of like the lighting is warm, you want to touch the textiles, and you're drawn to the patterns. But they're all things that feel comfortable to you. So what may be comfortable to me is not necessarily what's comfortable to somebody else. But that's what's so wonderful about designing individual, you know, personalized homes is that it doesn't need to please everybody else. It just needs to please you. So I feel like it's a very personal space, your home. And that's how it should be. Homeworthy, it was so fun showing you around my home. Thank you so much for stopping by, but I gotta get back to work.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to go to homeworthy.com for exclusive content, shopping guides, and so much more.